Hey everybody, Misty Turk. We're taking a look at the next part. This is part 2 of the introduction video on smart science. So we've already done the explore activity, and now maybe we're ready to move on to the evaluate activity. So it's important that you read the instructions very carefully as you progress through the lab. So it's saying here, ready, answer the questions to the right. You may have to scroll down. And if you want to listen to it, you can click on the little speaker icon and it'll tell you. All right, so it does say up here, answer all questions. Find help in the graph window. Click submit when you finish. Question number 1. Which parent corn color always had offspring the same color as the parent, no matter what the color of the other parent was? So if you're not sure, then you may need to go back in and do some more explore, but you're looking at, from your experience, you're picking. So let's just kind of go through this, and I'm going to deliberately maybe pick some wrong answers and deliberately pick some right answers just so you can see how this works. All right, so let's say you believe the answer is yellow. Click on that. With 2 hybrid parents, were the offspring equally divided between yellow and purple? And let's say you're like, yeah, I kind of think so. I'm not really sure, but just take your best guess. Again, it should be based on your data. If you don't have enough data, then make sure you collect enough data to answer the questions. Based on what you found out, what offspring would a purple and a hybrid parent have? So let's say you think it's this. And based on what you found out, what offspring would a yellow and a hybrid parent have? So if you think it's this, and you click on that, and then you take a look at the answers to see. Understanding inheritance means understanding a few words. A genotype is purely in the chromosomes. You can't see a genotype directly. A phenotype is seen in the offspring. Example given, eye color. You can see the phenotype directly. Genotypes determine phenotypes through some similar, and in most cases, laws. Each parent usually contributes 1/2 of the offspring's genotype, and 2/2 of a certain trait are different. Then the results depend on how the biology works. 2 different genes can combine. For example, with sweet pea flower colors, a white sweet pea can combine with a red sweet pea to produce pink sweet pea offspring. One trait can dominate another. For example, with eye color, a blue and brown-eyed parent will have all brown-eyed children unless the brown-eyed parent has some blue-eyed ancestors. Number 1. Mendel studied peas. He found that some peas have smooth seeds when he dried and others have wrinkled seeds. Crossing wrinkled seed plants with pure smooth-seeded plants produced only smooth-seeded plants. What can you expect from a cross of a wrinkle-seeded plant and a hybrid plant taken from pure smooth-seeded and pure wrinkled-seeded plants? Begin by deciding how inheritance works in this example. The 2 types do not combine because no seeds are only partly wrinkled. They are either smooth or wrinkled. Because crossing smooth-seeded with wrinkle-seeded plants makes only smooth seeds, you can say that smooth dominates wrinkled. The hybrid plant will contribute a smooth gene to 1/2 of its offspring and a wrinkled gene to the other 1/2. The wrinkled plant will contribute a wrinkled gene to all of its offspring. 1/2 of the offspring will have 2 wrinkled genes and will be wrinkled. 1/2 of the offspring will have 1 smooth gene, dominant, and 1 wrinkled gene will be smooth. The answer is that 1/2 will have smooth seeds and 1/2 will have wrinkled seeds. All right, let's hit next. All right, so another tool that they have here are graph types. Graphs come in many forms, such as line graphs, bar graphs, pie graphs. Generally speaking, use line graphs to show data trends over time. Use bar graphs to compare data. Bar graphs also can show variation with the time. Use pie charts to show how limited an asset has been distributed. Smart science graphs. Smart science uses a variation of line graphs throughout to provide a picture of the data you collect. The point graph shows data points on the graph without lines connecting them. Then a curve fit may be made to these points if some model of the expected behavior is available. The result is a point graph with fitted curve. All right, and then we talk about units. So this is just a reminder of units. Metric units, the International System Units SI is based on a few units which are combined to obtain others. These base units are summarized in the following table. So when we measure length, we talk about it in meters, mass in kilograms, time in seconds, the electric current ampere, and thermodynamic temperature, we use Kelvin, and amount of substance, we use a mole, and luminous intensity, we use candela. All right, so fortunately, we're only going to be using probably most of the ones on the top, and you won't see the ones on the bottom. All right, so actually these don't really apply to sixth graders, but good to know. And then these are prefixes we've actually learned in math class. The ones that are the most common for sixth graders are the ones where the exponent is a 1, 2, or a 3, or a -1, -2, -3. So these are the ones that we focus on the most. And scientific notation, we don't really need to know too much for sixth grade, so let's just hit next. All right, now, once you're satisfied that you've gone through everything and you've selected your answers for the questions, then you do want to say yes and continue. And it will tell you which ones you got wrong and which ones you got right. And it'll give you a little bit of background on that. And I will get that information, by the way. So it says, it gives you some explanations for the ones that you got wrong, and you want to read through them. And in class, hopefully we'll have opportunities to talk about the use of a Punnett square to help you answer the questions, because if you don't have enough data to kind of figure things out, then you might not be able to get the right answer. All right, so if we hit next, it says next, write a lab report about inheritance exercise, press the explain button. All right, so we click down here and we answer the question. What did you investigate? Write about what you did. What is the lab about? So you don't need to just put too much, but you can expand your box here to make it a little bit bigger. You want to make sure you answer the question. So, exactly what were we doing with the corn? What were we trying to figure out with the colors of the corn and their offspring? Just type up a brief summary there and put your answer there. So for procedure, what were the steps of the lab? What materials were used? So, maybe put down numeric, like step 1, we did this. Step 2, we did that. The materials were used were things like ears of corn that had different variations, such as, and just list what they are. All right, and then for the conclusion, what did you find out? And you want to make sure you're answering these questions. Do offspring inherit characteristics from parents? So when you write your answer to that, you're going to say something like, offspring do inherit characteristics from parents, or offspring do not inherit characteristics from plants, and elaborate a little bit. Do offspring always look just like their parents? Answer that as a yes or no, and how you knew that. And can one parent's features be more likely to be in the offspring than another's? And again, you're basing that on your experience with the corn and even what you may have learned about Mendel's smooth and wrinkled pea plants. When you're done answering the question, then it's a good idea to hit the save button and maybe even print it as a PDF file. But when you're ready to submit it for my evaluation and scoring, then you hit the submit. And I don't know if it'll let you do it if you don't have anything in the box. So you really need to make sure you put something in there. All right, so once you're done with that part, so remember we have these blue tabs on the bottom, right? So you want to go on to the extend, when it allows you to, and then eventually you'll be completely done with the lab.